Hello, my name is Siamak. I'm a character artist based in Dubai. In this making of video, I'm gonna explain how I created this Mafia Man artwork, which is published in EXPOSÉ 11 and several other magazines and websites. Actually, I did this work back in 2012, and since then, many people ask me how I created this character, and finally, I have the chance to show you the main steps. So here are the steps that we will go through. We have a base mesh, final scope, retopo, and I'll show you how I did the edge flow. I'll show you the UV mapping, poly painting, the different textures, final scene setup, and shading networks, and finally the final composite file. There are different ways you can start the sculpting. You can use a base model which is created in another application, like this one I have here, and then this is the one actually I used to sculpt Mafia Man character. Or you can do it in another way, like using a polysphere. There is one polysphere here inside the lightbox in ZBrush. You can use this polysphere and turn it into Dynamesh. You can set the resolution here 32 for example, and then set it on Dynamesh, and then start the sculpting, and then you should hold control and click and drag on canvas, and it will create a new topology. Every time you change your model, your sculpt, if you click and drag on canvas, it will create a new topology for you. Here I'm gonna show you the brushes I usually use to sculpt. The first one is clay brush with lazy mouse. Usually I use clay brush to sculpt most of the parts, and the reason I am using lazy mouse is because the brush will have softer effect on the model and I can control it easier. Another brush I use is clay buildup. To me this brush is good enough for rough sculpting and doing the base concept in ZBrush. And the other brush is the standard brush with lazy mouse, which I like to use it with an alpha map to refine some of the shapes and details. And also a smooth brush to smooth and clean up the shapes. And a smooth picks, which is very useful brush, and I will explain it later during this video. There are other brushes like pinch, Dam standard, and inflate brush, which could be really useful while sculpting. In this step I'm going to show you how I did the small details on the skin, like skin pores and dots and everything, the random details. So for this I will subdivide the mesh I have already up to 5 times and about 3 million polygons. Basically for the final sculpt I had 30 million, but for now 3 million is fine. I just want to show you the brushes I used and the methods. And a very useful thing that helped me a lot for the detailing, and I use it a lot, almost always on my characters, is this feature in ZBrush, the surface noise. So when you turn it on, you can edit it. If you press edit, then basically I'll put a pressure on 0.008, and that's it. Then I will just apply to mesh, and as you can see, it's adding some random noise all over the mesh, all over the sculpt. And a very useful brush you can use to edit the details and turn them into like a skin pores is smooth peaks brush, which you can find in inside lightbox brushes, and smooth, and then a smooth peaks. Basically what a smooth peaks does is will smooth the peaks on the sculpt, on the details, and it will leave the Z subs. It will not touch anything which is going in, but only smooth the Z add. So when you press shift, I'll turn off RGB, and then I'll put the pressure on 10, and then again I will use okay, so if you press shift, you will see my smooth brush is changing to smooth peaks. Then I will start sculpting, smoothing actually, and as you can see, the effect is really obvious that it is smoothing the peaks, and you will get these small pores in the skin. So I will use different layers of surface noise. So one is for the what do you call it, the pores, and the other one is, if you go to edit, I can just use this shape here and change it to something to add random details on it. So I'll turn up the scale and make this positive. There's 2, and I will just I need less strength. 5. So when you apply, it's adding some random, as you can see, the dot here, and it's adding all over the mesh. If it's not enough, you can apply it again to have more random details on it. So you can use this and change the numbers and change the shape here to have different looks if you want to have different layers. Basically on the skin it's not all the same, it's really random, and once you add this randomness on your sculpt, you will get more realistic look. So apply again, one more. So you can see it's already adding a lot to the sculpt. The other thing is I use a standard brush with stroke sets on drag rectangle, and the alpha map, whatever, you can just download from internet or create your own alpha map in ZBrush or Photoshop. And I'll put the pressure and the intensity, I'll put it on Z sub and the intensity on 5, for example. And then click and drag. If it's not enough, I'll add to the intensity. Actually this is too much, I'll put it on 8. So you can see, I mean, you need to check on your references where you need to put the pores and different details. Like basically under the eyes, it's different totally, and it's different on the nose, on the cheekbones, on the lips. So for example, for the lips, I will use the damage standard brush, and I will make it really thin because I want to add the cuts on the lips. I'll put the lazy mouse on, and the pressure I'll put it on 8. So you can use this brush, damage standard, to add the details under the lips or under the eyes, like this. The other thing, the other alpha map I use with the standard brush to detail is this alpha 58, which is already inside ZBrush, the default of ZBrush. So I will go to stroke and I will change it to spray, and then I will just wherever I add the pores, I will just sculpt on it with this one, and it will give it like a look of a detailed skin, like it will make it more realistic when you add this alpha map over the skin pore alpha. And then I'll just smooth it a bit with my smooth picks brush to have it like really soft, because the skin is soft, it's not like concrete, it should be soft. And so that's all the thing I used to do the details on this character, and we turn up with this final look on the character. So as you can see, if I go to the higher subdivision, level 5, level 5 is 3 million, level 6 is 13 million, which is good to add more details. Basically I wanted to have a big render, like 4K render, so I wanted to add as much detail as possible. So as you can see, these lines, I created them the same way with the spray, and the alpha map sets on, I set it on alpha 58 with the lazy mouse, and the wrinkles under the eyes, the frown here, it's all created with the brushes that I told you. Like the wrinkles here are created with the damage standard or the standard brush itself with alpha 35 and really thin brush size, and like with high intensity. So basically that's all about the detailing on this character. The rest of it is really depends on you, on how you see the details and how you see the real references you're looking for. Basically, I tried to check some real references, and I picked up the points that I liked, like the details on the neck and on the cheeks, and on the chin area and the eyes, or the shape of the nose. I mean, you can use your imagination, but you have to be realistic. I mean, you should use images and then try to build up your own character. So this was all the steps about sculpting and detailing. I mean, the rest of it depends on you, how you will see the model. I mean, you need to practice, you need to use the brushes to get used to them until you find out the best way to do the sculpt. Here we are in 3D Code. I downloaded the last version of 3D Code as a trial version, and we'll use it for this purpose. So I'll go to File, Import, Reference Mesh, and I will import the high-res OBJ file, which is exported from ZBrush. It's not the highest subdivision, it's only the 4th subdivision, which is 700,000 polygons, and it's enough for what we want to do, because you don't need the highest subdivision to do the retopo, you just need the main shape of the model. So we'll go to the retopo section. So if you press spacebar, you will have easier access to the tools, which will help you to speed up the workflow. You can also put these ones up here, like for example, I will put the quads here. I will put, for example, the brush on the 4th. So if I press space, press 1, I'll have access to one of the tools. Space, press 2, I can put the dots. So what you can do in 3D Code, it's really simple, it's really easy. You don't need to get any tutorial or anything. You can just, for retopo purpose, you can just try and see what are the tools, different tools are doing. So space, I'll put the dots, and then you press right click, it will create the face for you. So for our retopo, we need to follow the shape of the human anatomy muscles, basically. Because later on, if you want to give it to a rigging person to do the rig, you need to have a good edge flow on your face. Basically, I'm going to follow the same shape of the human anatomy on our retopo, like for example around the eyes, or our edge flow will be the same as this muscle, and on around the lips will be the same, like on the chin and on the other part of the head. I will show you now. So we'll put more dots. You can just press F2. Here you can change what you want to pick, like vertices, edges, faces, and if you just stay on the tool, will show you the hotkey, which is easier to access. So I'm gonna create the shape here. The other way is to use the quad. You just you click on one edge, you will pick up one dot, and you will click on it, and then the last one, and it will create the quad polygon for you. So basically, I'm just going to add to create the main edge flows, main polygons, and then once you smooth the model, it will give you more polygons, and then you can just project it on the model, and then you will have a clean mesh ready for animation. As you can see, I'm following the same thing. I'm following the anatomy structure, like circular shape around the eyes. The same thing is happening on the human anatomy, human muscles around the eyes. I'll show you after that how to put the edge in the middle. So I'll just split this. I'm going to this one here. I'm using different tools. You don't have to follow exactly the same thing I'm doing. You can use whatever you feel comfortable with. I'll just create around the eyes and I will smooth it out to show you what will happen once I smooth this mesh. And basically it's better to put less point and later, because when you smooth it you will have very high res mesh, so you need to control your polygons, amount of polygons. Don't try to get so high res. So okay, and then I'll put more edges here around the lips. First I will create the shape around the muscle shape, the main shape, and then I'll add more polygons to it on it. You need to tweak a lot during the work to get the best edge flow you want. And you can use for example, the slide mesh, slide edges, and then you can slide the edge along with the other edges. Like you can slide this one up and down, or slide it basically on these two edges. So what I do is I will create each part and then connect them, attach them together and make it one piece. Actually, I think I need to do this one again. Here is a little bit tricky on this part. So I moved forward a little bit to save time, and we are done with this part. I just need to connect this part to the eye muscles. So I'm just using the quad polygons. So I'll put more points here. Just gonna move this down a bit. I'll save. Split ring is we'll just split the ring. Like as you can see, if I press it, will just split all the way on the ring. I'll put one here and then points. I'm not gonna do the whole head. I'm just gonna do a part of it, and then we'll show you what will happen once we smooth it. here. If I want to smooth this mesh, I will just create this one also, and then show you what will happen if I smooth it. We need to create inside the mouth in another application like Maya, for example, which is easier. And you will not see it, so you don't need to have a sculpt of inside the mouth. It depends on what you want to do exactly. And I'll add one edge loop here around the lips and one here in the center. And so now I'll save it. One more edge loop. So now if I want to smooth it, I will just use this under commands, subdivide, and you'll see that it's adding more polygons to our mesh. There are some places that we need to fix. Actually, I can just push this up a bit and then try it again. That's it. So now if I just relax, as you can see, we have a clean mesh, which is really good and useful for UV mapping and final rendering, and if you want to rig it for rigging and other purposes. So I'm not gonna get in further with 3D code. This is enough for now. And as you can see, we created really quickly a clean mesh in 3D code. And our final mesh, what I did before for this character is like this, as you can see. I mean, the edge flow is around the eyes is really clean, around the lips, around the neck. It's good for animation. We don't have any triangle polygons or any other bad polygons. And also this edge loop is very important to follow up. I mean, you need to go from front all the way to the back, and some of them are connecting to this muscle, the other ones are going back to the back muscles and back of the head. And that's it. I mean, this is pretty much all about the modeling and retopo of this character. So we'll go to the next step. So now I'm going to show you how I made the UVs. For this character I used ZBrush UV Master, and then after that I brought it back to Maya and cleaned the UVs using different tools like Unfold. Usually I prefer to keep the seams on top of the head, top of the forehead from here to here, and then from top of the head to the back of the head, so I can keep them hidden in case for rendering time. And in ZBrush you can use the UV Master here. You can find it under Z plugin. You will enable control painting and protect, and then or use the attract button. Attract is you will basically tell the software where you want the seams to be. I want to have the seams over here and here, as I explained. And then with the protect, you can protect where you don't want the seams to be. Basically what I do, I paint all over the mesh, all over our head, the red one, and then I use the attract to attract the seams. And then I will press unwrap. And then if you flatten the mesh, you can see that we have a UV in 2 minutes. The thing is, you shouldn't have any subdivision level before you do the UV, because in ZBrush it will not accept it. So you should be, before you subdivide the mesh, you need to create the UV, and then you can subdivide it. You can do it other ways, but I do it this way always. After the UV, I'm gonna use project under subtool to project the details from our original sculpt to our new model. So here I have 3 subtools. Basically, you need to turn off other subtools, and you just need to keep the 2 subtools that you want to do the projection with them, because you don't want the other subtools to affect their projection. So here I'm going to store morph target, and you need to store morph target because later on when you want to export the displacement map and normal map, you will switch back to the original mesh. And in ZBrush, when you subdivide the mesh, it will kind of relax the mesh. So when you export displacement map, it will change a bit on render. So it's better to store morph target whenever you want to export displacement map, to export it based on your original mesh. And then after that, I'm gonna subdivide the mesh 3 times to get to the 4th subdivision level. I will select our original sculpt. I need to turn off the texture. And I will get back to the 2nd subdivision level, and then on our new mesh to the 2nd one, and then project all. We'll repeat this step for all the subdivisions one by one to have a clean projection. So now I'm going to the 4th one, and then again the 4th subdivision on our new mesh, and project all. If your mesh is higher, it will take more time. So here we have the clean projection. The thing is, sometimes you will get some artifacts after projection. Either you need to fix them by hand, by smoothing, or you can use these settings on your project setting to set the distance to have a clean project to avoid artifacts. And after this, we'll do I did a poly paint. I will switch to a skin shader to see it better directly in ZBrush. So for the poly paint, I had 6 subdivision level, which is for this character is 13 million polygons, because it's a poly paint texturing, so you need to have more polygons. Of course, you can use Zaplink, but for this character, I used poly painting. And after that, I exported the poly paint into Photoshop and did some edit on the texture, which I will show you after this. So how I exported the map is I will set the resolution under UV map to 4K, and then under texture I'll just press new from poly paint, and then wait a bit, and we have the texture. So now we will clone the texture, and I will drop it to our texture here, and then we need to flip it vertically, and then we can export the map. After I imported the poly paint into Photoshop as a texture, here the textures are created from the same texture. So this one is a diffuse, epidermal, subdermal, backscatter, and like bump map, a specular map, and this one is also a layer which I called it overall color, which I will plug it into overall color of the subsurface scattering shader. The thing is, I used the old subsurface scattering shader for this character, so I'm not gonna really get in depth because there are better shaders right now out with the new version of Maya, which will give you a better and realistic results with less effort and less textures. I'm gonna show you my setup in Maya quickly. Here's a shader for the head. Stuck a bit. The scene is really heavy because I imported the 3rd subdivision, I guess. I didn't use a displacement on this one. You can use a displacement, but I just wanted to use the high res with the bump map. And here is my shader setup. Stuck. So I'll open the shader inside the attribute editor. You can see I plugged the overall color, which is this one. I applied some gamma correction on the textures just to get a better, get the result I want with some tweaks inside the hypershade instead of changing the texture in Photoshop. So this one is connected to overall, and this one is connected to diffuse, which is this one. And this one is the epidermal map, which is connected to this epidermal scatter color. This one is the subdermal color, which is connected to the subdermal. For the skin shader, it's very important to set your scene size physically correct, because the numbers I put here are close to the reality of our human skin. And then for the backscatter, I connected this one to the backscatter. As you can see, I'm using really low numbers. You need to keep them low because you don't want to have your face look like a very soft surface, like a candle or anything like that. The skin has a bone under it, and you have basically flesh, like 1 centimeter of flesh over the bone. So you need to keep these in mind, and you need to tweak a lot to find out the best settings for yourself, for your setup. And I attached textures under my specularity, 3 levels, and reflection also. A reflection map to this one, and also a bump map. And so for the eyes is the same, kind of the same. Let me just open it. This is the eye shader. We have we use a Mia material for the eye, which is and a subsurface shader. Here is a Mia material on the color. We have I put a color just to control the amount of reflection under reflection color, and then you don't need to have a really high reflected eye because we use the linear workflow to render. And we have refraction under transparency, which is a black map, and on the cornea, where the iris is placed, you need to have a map which is white, and the rest of it is black, because you want to have the cornea to the iris part to be transparent. And under advanced under advanced setting here, you will find additional color. You will connect your subsurface shader to the additional color, and here you will have an overall color. The overall color should be the opposite of your reflection color, which I made it this way. And on the edge I put a little bit of blurred blue color, which is fading to black. And this way you will have an eye, realistic look on the iris area, the edge of the iris. And we have 3 shaders for the 3 textures for the eyes. Like the head, like epidermal, subdermal, the overall color, diffuse color, epidermal, subdermal, and backscatter. And here also I applied the overall color of the. I use the specularity bit on the subsurface shader as well. So basically, we will get our glossy look from the Mia material, and then our flesh look and flesh look of the cornea with the subsurface shader. And in the scene, I have a camera which is set like this. The angle I want, the angle of view is 48, almost focal length 40. Nothing really special. Under the settings, I use the linear workflow, and also for this one I rendered the Ultra HD render, which is double than Full HD, because I wanted to have a high-res render. And then the quality is set to 2, and basically that's it. So the rest of it depends on the lighting you have. For this one I have like 3 planes to reflect the lights, the bouncing light to the head, and also one HDRI, which is set on the, actually it's here under indirect light, which you can set it by this, but the amount is really low because I wanted to have most of the effects coming from the lights. And I have 4 lights. 3 of them are area light. I use also mental ray shaders on the lights, like for example this one, which is the main light. The light is coming from here to the face, if you see on the final render as well. I put portal light, and these are the settings. Basically you need to try to see what is the best for your rendering. It's not a must, you can just try and see the best you can do. And for the hair I used the shave and a haircut, and I had a problem on this one using shave and a haircut, so I had to turn the hair into geometry and render it as a geometry. And for the details, as you can see on the cloth and on the suit, there are some fur which I used, and I have different layers of furs to give the feeling of small stuff on the cloth. If you check your shirt or suit, you will see there are dust and stuff on the shirt, like small pieces of hair and things like that. And basically that's all about it. There is nothing special. It's just about you should try, and the rendering is all about to try and see what is the best you can get. And after that it's the compositing, which I will show it to you now. Okay, so now I'm back in Photoshop after our beauty render. This is the final composite image. I did a beauty render inside Maya Mentor Ray, and I exported the image in Photoshop. I added a lot of other layers to get the look I want for this character. For example, here I have the beauty render, then I have smoke effect, which is the smoke effect which is created directly in Photoshop. I have some changes on the eyes. I have like skin color changes. I have extra specular layers which I exported from Mentor Ray, and I counted directly in Photoshop. So this will help up to get the look I want instead of rendering the image 100 times and wasting the time. I have other layers of speculars. I have ambient occlusion layer, which is helping a lot to catch the shadows and make the character look more realistic. Extra other speculars for the hat and the suit, and some other color corrections, as you can see, to get the look that I want for this character. And then there is a background. You can just find the images from Google. I did the same, and I put the background here, and I tried to match the color with the overall look of the image. And after that I have an overall color correction on the image, and I got this result, which I found it final, and I was pretty happy about it. Okay, that's all about this image from me as a making of, and I hope it was useful for you guys. Please don't hesitate to drop me emails if you have any questions, and if you want to know more about me and my works, please check my website, and hope to see you soon again. Bye.